Yo, I love this. Hey, welcome to the Aim High podcast. I'm Dre. This podcast is hosted by the CDB Multimedia Network, where you can catch the Sucio Boys podcast, a different angle, four corners of commentary, Shogun Soccer Sit Down, the CDB podcast, the Dre Lags podcast, and last but not least, the Sucio Sportz podcast, which any of you that are watching this live, you'll see Jermaine in the block next to me. Jermaine, tell the people about yourself.
Man, bro, I'm just happy to be here, bro, to be honest with you. Been doing this sports media stuff since 2009, 2010 here in Houston. Um I'm just wearing my black wrestling hat today cuz shout outs to them. They're getting ready to drop their BRP 50 on Juneteenth, June 19th. And I've been helping them get a couple things ready for that. So I just wanted to give them a shout out while we was here doing this for men's mental health awareness.
Hey, I like that. Shout out to the team over at Black Wrestling Podcast, man. Everybody does a great job there. We like supporting our friends and we like uplifting everybody. So, Jermaine, with June being Men's Mental Health Month,
Mhm.
I guess first and foremost, how's your mental health doing?
Man, you come out the gate swinging. All right. Just for the sake of authenticity and keeping it real, because that's what we like to do. It's been honestly, man, it's been up and down.
Mhm.
Um, just the ebbs and flows of life, the way things go. Sometimes things go your way, sometimes things work against you. However, you have to find a way to keep yourself somewhat positive and just find things to keep you going and keep you motivated and keep you out of that dark place, because the more and more you sink into that dark place and the further and further you sink into that dark place, the harder and harder it is for you to pull yourself out of it. So it when I feel myself going to that place, I
Mhm.
try to do or participate in things that's gonna keep me out of it. Doing stuff like this, like doing Sucio Sports on Wednesday nights, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. Doing things like the wrestling part that I do with Gresh Unleashed. That's Tuesday nights around 6:15, 6:30 Central, 7:15, 7:30 Eastern. Helping Black Wrestling out with their stuff on their podcast. 7:35 Central, 8:35 Eastern on Thursday nights. Just doing all that kind of stuff, man, and watching your Aim High and your Dre Lags pod, listen to Sucio Boys and stuff like that, just supporting everybody and showing everybody love on their all their ventures and whatnot. Like that kind of stuff really brings me joy because I love seeing my friends succeed. I love seeing them trying things and participating and doing things that's gonna basically keep them motivated and keep them happy and whatnot. So whatever helps, that's what I try to do. But honestly, to be quite frank with you, it's been pretty up and down. But the good thing is that I've had people, especially like you, giving you your props, man, your love, checking in on me. Hey bro, how you doing? How's everything going? Is there anything I can help you with? Blah blah blah. Like stuff like that like really does help, because there's a lot of times where you know you you want to be the strong person and you're used to being that person that everybody else depends on or counts on or comes to. But what happens when you're the one that's not feeling so up to it, when you're the one that's going through it or having a rough time or what have you, what do you do then? And that's why I found it important for us to do this one today. And when you called and asked, say, hey man, I'm doing this, do you want to participate? I was all for it, because when they say check on your strong friends, they really mean that. Sometimes some of us we don't always we may show that we're strong and we may act like we're strong, but deep down inside it's shit is hard and it hurts. So do check on your strong friends, because a lot of the times a lot of us not gonna say nothing.
I think back when you say checking your strong friends, I think of guys like Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain, Twitch, dudes who, everybody like regards and says like light of the room, lit up the room, like always
Mhm.
cheerful, always happy. And that like and then you think about like, huh, how often did people tap in with them? How often did anyone just like check on them and see if like something is like good, if there's anything I can do to help benefit and stuff like that. And you're just like, the happy and the strong ones kind of fall by the wayside in terms of getting checked in on, because everybody's so used to them being like upbeat. They just never you know think it's not in there. And it's not like that they're not that people like don't care about them. It's just, when somebody is consistently happy and seems to be doing well, you don't
Mhm.
be like, hey, are you actually okay?
Right, right, right. It's one of those things, man, where people say check on your strong friends, and they think that it's just like a checkbox, a thing to do. And we got to remember that checking on people and stuff like that is not just a checklist item. Like, okay, I called or I sent that text or whatever it is. A lot of the times you really do need to tap in with people and actually speak to them or get an exchange response via text or DM or what have you, and know how that person is doing, because a lot of the times you could do we'll say, oh yeah, I'm fine, everything's good, but it's like, nah, I want to hear your voice, I want to see your face, like I want you to be honest with me, be real with me, are you really okay? You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
that means more than anything.
Yeah. See, Ahun, I know you just got here, so I asked Jermaine this earlier. How's your mental health doing?
It's cool. It's like I think like a lot of men, it lives in like I'm okay. I
Mhm.
can sustain it for the time being, but like I'm not too far away from like a big win or a big loss, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay. I like it.
So like I think a lot of times, especially with like like my friends, family, and things like that I talk to, that their mental health like sits in like a middle ground where it's like it's not bad, it's not the best, right? Where it's like, oh my god, it's sunshine and rainbows and all this other stuff. It sits in that place of where it's like I'm cool, I can sustain, but it can vary just depending on what the situation may that may arise. And I know like for a lot of us men, um, it's it's difficult to kind of like point to what it is that you need, because it's like, in a lot of different situations you're like, dude, I need this and this, and this person may not be able to give it to me. So it's like for me to talk to you about it, it might be detrimental, because it's like I'm opening myself up for potential critiques or whatever. But I'm also just like, dude, I'm cool. I'm not in a bad place. I'm chilling. And I know that's an elongated way to answer the question, but like I feel like a lot of times, especially just kind of catching up to the conversation that's been had, is like
Mhm.
guys just in general have that like middle ground of where we sit in a gray area, and it's not bad. It's not like it's it sometimes can not necessarily be good, but it's like I'm cool. You know what I mean?
I get you.
So from a
It's
mental health standpoint, it's like I'm chilling.
okay. So I'll get y'all's thoughts on this. I did look up some because I wanted to really be prepared for this episode. So these are some mental and behavioral health like statistics and little tidbits for Black African Americans. So for men, Black men specifically, these are just little things. They say, black men have a higher prevalence of mental illness like depression and anxiety compared to other groups. We also have lower treatment rates. It says black men are less likely to seek mental health treatment, with only about 26% seeking counseling compared to 45% of white men. The stigma surrounding mental health and counseling can contribute to reluctance to seek help. Cultural beliefs and values may influence how black men perceive and respond to mental health challenges. And then under the tab for suicide, it says black men are more likely to die by suicide than black women. The rates have been rising among black youth, particularly among black boys. Underlying factors, racial discrimination, poverty, social adversity can contribute to higher rates, as well as racial trauma and socioeconomic factors. So I'd just like to get y'all's, thoughts on that as well.
I was going to say trauma breeds a huge part of it, right? Where it's like it collectively, and I think we all can probably attest, is like, you know, black men is you have that external, suck it up, so to speak, right? Just like,
Mhm.
brave it out. And that's not necessarily the way that it should go versus like, hey, no, you need some assistance with this. You need to have somebody help you have the conversation, because your thought, like, really a lot of times, like, going to a therapist is like having an external partner help you sort through the thought
Yes,
process.
Okay.
definitely.
And a lot of folks will look at it like, oh, I don't need help. Yeah, you do. You need a second set of eyes. Like if you were to give somebody a business proposal, or if you were to give somebody like any type of idea that can spark development and help entertain growth, right? That needs a second opinion. So, like when you look at any part of your health and somebody tells you, hey, you got cancer, right? Now, I'm not wishing that on anybody, but what are you going to do? You're going to go get a second opinion. You're just not going to take that as the gospel of Paul and think that that's the only thing that you have to do. You need other people's points of view and their insight and their understanding and their knowledge. But if you don't even acknowledge that someone else needs to help you externally, then yes, that becomes a problem. So that's the reason why the statistics get lower. But I think that's also external societal pressures, which maybe, Jermaine can attest to this as well. Is like, dude, like, I remember just having conversations with my own family, and I was like, hey, I need to deal with this. Well, their biggest thing was like, well, you got to be in the church, you need prayer. Bitch, praying for what? Praying for what? I got bills right now. I got external factor things that are happening right now. Jesus Christ ain't going to answer my goddamn prayers right this second. And I'm not trying to do that because I don't need him when it's a situation of like, I need this to be covered, right? A lot of times, like, the spiritual external connection is super, it's like,
It feels like a catch-22 because
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
hey, it's one of those things where it's like, so for me, I like all through my life, like I've had issues where I've struggled with like my like faith and stuff, but I've also had so many extraordinary, right on time, this is the perfect moment, like situations where so many factors went right for me that any kind of attribution to it being like luck or me just being really 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 like the luckiest man on earth, like it was one of those ones where like for me, for myself, I was just like, you know what, that's nothing but God. But I've also had moments where like I've been just really really low, and it's like, hey man, how do I get myself off of that God's strongest soldiers list? Like, how do I take myself off of this list? Because this is a lot. And it's in those moments that having community and having things that do kindle joy for me in my life, it helps me not let a lot of those like really, really mentally vexing moments like kick me down and keep me down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean because it's like people, some people may use their faith to help their mental health and some people may not. It's all a personal preference, but like personally for me, it helps me because it's something that kind of helps keep me grounded and something that I could look back to as far as like my childhood, how it's like kind of helped me out. And everybody struggles with their faith or spirituality, whatever you believe in, but you need something like Ahun was saying. Bottom line, like a lot of the times we don't feel like we need outside help and we feel like we could just deal with it ourselves and we can just get over it ourselves. But if you're constantly doing that and things aren't getting better, the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. You got to try something different. And a lot of the times, I think that's why another reason why our statistics are so low as black men is because it's always the culture of like we were talking about earlier. Suck it up, what you crying for? I'll give you something to cry about. That's nothing to cry about, all that kind of stuff. Um, and it's a thing where it becomes more detrimental to you because you're taught to stand on it or stand in it and you'll just be okay eventually. And that's not always necessarily the case. Like there's been times where I know I felt like I'm drowning. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm literally like I feel like I can't catch air. But through therapy, prayer, surrounding myself with the right kind of people and talking to the right kind of people and things like that, like more positive people, people who have the same kind of goals and dreams and focus in life in mind, like that kind of stuff will help keep you from feeling like you're drowning, from feeling like you can't catch your breath or can't catch air. And there's a lot of the times where we have to do away with that stigma of not trying to seek help. And sometimes seeking professional help is the only thing that can save you because you can't you see what you've done on your own and the people around you are pretty much sometimes in the same position, maybe a little bit better, maybe sometimes even a little bit worse than what you're in. So if we're all on the same boat, how can we help each other? Like
Valid.
you sometimes you need something or somebody outside of what you're used to, your normal circle or sphere of influence to step in and tell you objectively, like, hey, bro, here's where I feel like you could do better. Here's where I feel like you're doing great. Here's some things that might be able to help you think and feel a little bit better about what your situation is, what you're going through. Let's create some goals and some, attainable goals and whatnot, and get you a checkpoint and start checking in with each other. Like just the other day, out of the blue, I was on the phone with somebody and I saw a number pop up that don't hardly ever pop up. And it was one of my homeboys. And I'm like, if he's calling, I know it's something. So let me answer this call. So I answered, he was like, hey, bro, I didn't really want nothing. I was just checking on you because I ain't heard from you in a minute. And just that opening statement right there, like that tore everything apart. Like that was like, man, I'm so glad I answered this phone call. I don't care how the rest of this conversation goes, but just him saying that and knowing that he don't really call all that often, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, bro, I'm just checking on you because I ain't heard from you in a while. Like just that right there was enough for me to say this taking this phone call was totally worth it.
Hey, I like that. I definitely do. So look, I'm all about breaking stigmas and barriers. Question for y'all: if you had to take a stab in the dark of what the three biggest traumatic events for black males when it comes to um, issues related to their mental health, like what three leading causes would you assume are the top ones you guys look at?
Ooh, buddy. So first and foremost, I'm gonna say it's probably something in a shock value, right? Where it's like a steady, consistent. So there's that.
I will also say that I think it's just like other external things, right? So like life in general, um, we'll do that, and
Okay.
then on top of just like the systemic stuff, because that's like the overarching thing, and I think that happens more often than like people will give allowances for. So I
Yeah.
would say that plus normal, like I've got to provide, I've got to do, I've got to have all those things, right? Um, but like the systemic stuff, which more often than not happens early, so it creates a traumatic experience,
Mhm.
especially at like adolescence. Like you're more than likely, as a black man, you're more than likely to experience something traumatic at an earlier age, which then begets and now creates this like recovery system that you have to just work your way through. And if you like, it's sometimes like a therapist is not, excuse me, a therapist is not going to be able to walk you through that unless you get a specific therapist. Like you can't have a therapist that isn't black, number one, to be able to walk you through those things because they don't have that experience. So they don't know how to articulate or maybe calculate or work their way through those events. On top of that, then when you have a conversation, right? So if you're seeking therapy or you go to therapy, you need to have someone that can match those key points, right? Or those keystones in the conversations that you're going to have. So, like all of us sitting here having this conversation, we all maybe have experienced like some epitome of systemic racism structure, right? And the question then becomes collectively, at what point in time was your first experience? More often than not, your first experience could have happened at an early age, right? Like before you became a teenager. So that's a lot to take in. Now, on top of that, you've got to take in like all of the factors that you have with like family. You might have like family stuff that may have come into play, and you've got some stuff that maybe your family hasn't dealt with. Like that's a lot to do.
So, look,
I
that's
think
important. What about? Yeah.
going
What
back
about?
to the question, like I think the top three for me would be relationship issues like divorce, breakups.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say another one would probably be deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And another one would probably be some sort of financial hardship. I think
So,
those would be the top three.
so the numbers that they provided in this studies from an article that was released in 2025. Um, Emotional abuse is at 62%.
Mhm.
Death of a loved one is at 59%. And then the last two are tied. So we have physical abuse slash assault, 52%, serious accident, injury, 52%.
Mm.
Those are those are like the three, technically four biggest leading causes. And I think I definitely the the death of a loved one is one that really stuck out with me. That one being so high, as well as the emotional abuse part, because I would be interested to hear someone kind of break down a little bit more about like what what they're qualifying as like emotional abuse. So this is all feedback from black men.
Yo, listen. All three of us are dads, so like I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm sitting here just trying to give like more of an overarching, right,
Hmm.
like thought process. Whereas like Jermaine was very poignant and like, hey, these are my three, and I'm super close to those three because all of those things have happened.
Mhm.
And us as all single dads, that's like, so to answer your question, Dre, and go back to the newest one that you had with like emotional abuse, dude, that could be through the courts.
Yeah.
That could be
Yeah.
through the courts. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like that could be like you having to try and fight for your place in your child's life when really it's like, hey, we made a decision when we were together as a couple, right? A married couple. Like we did all the things that like social economic pressures would tell us to do. Like marry first, then have a child where you don't like drop into statistics of like having a child out of wedlock and then dealing with that, right? So it's like, bro, all the stigmatism that you may have had from like past generations, you're holding on to that going into like your development as the black man. So now then it's like, okay, emotional abuse can come from a myriad of shit. Like if I have no control or no power within the court system, number one, right, to retain my autonomy as a father or to make it work, that's a lot to deal with. So that can become a staple under that category, and that can happen.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, that
yeah,
emotional abuse can come from a lot of those situations Ahan just talked about. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that that emotional abuse has to come from somebody telling you, "Hey, you ain't shit, you ain't nothing." Da da da. That emotional abuse can come from, like he just said, the court system telling you, "Well, you got to do this and you got to do that as a father." You know what I'm saying? Or that emotional abuse could come from your job telling you, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna get rid of you because we just don't feel like it's working out right now." That could bring on emotional and financial hardships or whatever. The whole the physical accident or pain or something like that, that could have its own emotional abuse in and of itself, because now you're hurt, you can't work or you can't move like you want to move, and now the negative self-thought starts to sink in. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff can come from a lot of different ways, man. It doesn't have to be like direct. It could be
Yeah.
very indirect way of being emotionally abused and whatnot, and bring on that dark mental state in our minds. But it comes from a lot of different places, and I'm glad Ahan brought that up. That because we're all dads, single dads, like, whether we're co-parenting or we have sole custody or whatever, like there's always going to be some stigma attached to that, and we're trying to change that stigma. Like, no, we're good fathers, we're involved fathers, we care, we actually want to spend time with our kids, we want to be a positive influence on our kids. But when you get certain societal things that are telling you that no, you're not, or no, this is how it typically works out, or like Ahan was saying, the court is telling you, no, this is what you're going to do, this is when and how you're going to do it. It's like handcuffing you from what you really want to do and how you really want to move and operate. And it makes you feel like, damn, what am I doing wrong? Or what did I do wrong? And it could have been nothing, but the court decided that for you. You didn't decide that. You may not have been the one that brought up the divorce or the breakup or separation or whatever, and someone else brought that up, and then now someone else is telling you what to do. And so your life is being pointed in a direction by other people, and that may not necessarily be the best thing for you. And that kind of stuff can really mess with a man's mind if you let it.
Yeah. And I think another thing that, because like we brought it up earlier, it talked about cultural factors that also hold hold you know black men back from seeking treatment as well. And I think in regards to that, I think back to like my own like life experience, because I can really only speak from like my own POV. Really, is just growing up, therapy, seeking help, or any like or like anxiety, ADHD, or any of that stuff. It was all looked at as quote unquote that's for white people, or like it was just not taken seriously. And I think of friends, family members, and people I've known who like had definitely had like mental health related issues and stuff going on, that like they never got help for and stuff. And I think back to like, oh man, well maybe if they had someone that was willing to advocate for them a bit more, if they like, or if the culture when they were growing up wasn't like this, because like I'll definitely say mental health is better received now than it was back in the day. Also, shout out to Mika and Brian H. Waters for pulling up. Big time shout out to y'all and to everybody watching.
Yeah.
Big shout out.
There's always something, man, that like just
Love
I don't
this
know.
one, Brian.
It's hard sometimes when you feel like you're in that like that I can't breathe, I'm drowning, like when you're in that state to pull yourself out of it. And unless you actively seek solutions that are going to help you and work forward towards progress, making progress, because you can't always expect that things are just going to be wiped out and taken care of in one fell swoop.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to take baby steps, you know what I'm saying, towards a solution. So sometimes the progress won't always look the same for everybody either. So don't always compare yourself to what other people are doing or what other people have going on, because it may not work out for you the same way it worked out for them. So a lot of the times, man, it's sometimes having the wherewithal and having a plan in place before it happens is
Yeah.
sometimes your best bet. And even if you don't, actively looking for and seeking a solution when you're in that situation, that'll help you, progress and get out of it.
I love that. Also, I really love what Brian said here. As black men, it's important to surround yourself with good people, and
Facts.
I will definitely like. For me, I love that statement because I think of if you don't have people that are willing to look out for you, then for one, you have terrible friends. Um,
Facts.
but
Facts.
like like for me, I have been like, I mean, look, I live in Colorado. There's really I live in not just Colorado, I'm in Boulder, Colorado. There's really not a lot of us up here. It's like me, the football team, and the basketball team.
Yeah, because you're in Boulder, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
that's right.
really
That's
ain't a
right.
lot of
That's
us up
right.
here. But what I laugh about it and I say about it is like, I even though you, Ahun, Sloan, Keys, and Shredder and Jeff and everybody in the house, like even though y'all all live in different parts of the country for me, we all interact on almost a daily basis and like we all talk almost every day. And like even though you guys aren't physically in the vicinity, I still like have y'all in my life. And like, we can all, I mean, we all don't all agree on different things and how to operate for
Hmm.
different stuff,
Hmm.
but I like that. I like that I have people in my life that aren't afraid to challenge my way of thinking, my worldview, and that I
Right.
feel comfortable being able to also, with respect, like also be like, I don't know if I agree that you're saying this, but I do appreciate where you're coming from. And it's just it's nice. So like I think that surrounding yourself with good people isn't just talking about like your neighbors and the people that you see every day, but it's the people that you interact with across your whole life. And I think that is so important to have.
Yeah, and I'm glad Brian H. Waters said that, because like he and I struck up like this tremendous friendship, and it's more like a big brother, little brother, like just like family now, because I literally reached out to him because I saw him doing the other podcasts and producing other podcasts and stuff. And I was like, hey, what kind of equipment do I need if I wanted mine to sound professional or whatever? And he messaged me back, and it started with that. And then next thing you know, we exchanged phone numbers, and now we call and text and checking on each other regularly, making sure each other is okay, and just doing check-ins with one another, and sharing our faith with each other and stuff like that. And it's like it grew from just like a professional common courtesy type of relationship to like a real bond and a real brotherhood, a real friendship. And it started off just like I said, just like innocently, like, hey man, I know you do this. What can you show me to help me out since I'm getting started? And it started from there and it blossomed into something bigger and better. And we had no idea, like talking to each other just about professional stuff, that it would grow into this brotherhood and this bond and this friendship where we would actually be checking in on each other. And it's the same thing with us. We just was like just casual conversations, struck up casual conversations with each other and like, hey, let's start really trying to do this together. And then next thing you know, like we like, hey bro, how you doing? How's your life going? And stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
it's like is so crazy, bro, because like it oftentimes starts off as something real innocent and unsuspecting, and then next thing you know, once you grow to trust each other and get a feel for each other, next thing you know, that bond starts to build. And it's good, like you said, to have a variety of different people because even though we may not always agree all the time, hearing somebody else's perspective in a lot of cases can be good for you. It may not always be good, but it can be good for you. But at least you're willing to hear that person out because of the relationship that y'all have. So it's good to hear, like, you know what, I may not agree with whatever Dre just told me, but I'm gonna keep it in the back of my mind because it's either something I need to steer clear of or it may be something I need to consider down the line. I don't know. Ahan said this, and I may not agree with it, but you know what? He does make a good point, and so I should take that into consideration at least. You know what I'm saying? I know they're not going to try to steer me in the wrong direction because these guys care about me. So I at least need to hear them out, bare minimum, and listen to
Mhm.
what they're saying. And the overarching theme and what I've noticed about a lot of our conversations that we have together, we may not always agree on what a person should do or how they should go about it, but the bottom line is we all want what's best for each other. And surrounding yourself with people that want what's the best for you, no matter what, is always going to benefit you in the long run.
Yeah. And so anyone that's listening, watching along, feel free to like comment your answer, but this is for like, Jermaine and Ahun because y'all can answer this question. For you, when when was the last moment that you truly felt peace? And how did you get that for yourself?
Ooh. Um, I'm not gonna lie, man. It wasn't that long ago. It was it wasn't that long ago. Probably about a couple weeks ago or so. Like I had been dealing with some stuff personally, professionally, everything. Like just hit me all at once. And I had a really good friend of mine like call and tell me, "Hey, bro, don't worry about it. I got you." And when he said that, in the way he said it, I broke down. And it was just like it was one of them things where it was like you feel that pressure and like sometimes it comes in different waves or feelings for different people. But for me, like just knowing that my homeboy had my back like that and like I didn't have to really worry. I still needed to do what I needed to do to try to handle business on my end, but I had a fail safe. And just knowing that I had a fail safe gave me all sorts of peace and relief. Like, okay, cool. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. And it's times like that where, going back to what Brian says, it's good to surround yourself with good people. And it's good to do good for other people and have the right intentions behind it because you never know when, that person or something, someplace, somewhere else can spring up and bless you because you bless somebody else. Like right now, my daughter's friend and her little boy and her boyfriend, like their AC went out and they were like, "Hey, can we come and stay?" Until I start. I was like, "Yeah, sure, come on." Like, I don't want y'all to be in the heat or nothing like that. I want y'all to be able to still be a family and be together. So yeah, if that means y'all have to come and stay here at my house, we got an extra room upstairs. Come on. Like, and that gave that's another sense of peace that I felt that even though I'm having my own struggles, I'm still blessed enough to where I could bless somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And for somebody to bless me and then me be able to pass that blessing on to somebody else, like that gave me another sense of peace. Like last night, between a couple weeks ago when it happened to me, and then last night when I was able to do it for somebody else. And it may not be like sometimes people, I don't think they really know what peace is because some of us have never really seen it in your life. But peace comes in different ways, shapes, and forms. And when you have just a sense of calmness and you're not worried, scared, or bothered by a lot,
Mhm.
that could be a sense of peace. And so that's what I felt like when I got a fail safe, passed down to me, and when I was able to do something for somebody else.
I like that. I think, let's see, for me, it was earlier in the week. I was hanging out with Cortland, and he I always play like Gracie's Corner, or like I went on Spotify. I made a whole playlist for him of like just baby child appropriate songs, and I found like jazz for babies and all this stuff. But there was Happy by Pharrell was playing, and he don't know lyrics. I mean, he's only like 7 months old. That baby don't know what they're saying. But he, out of nowhere, he's like sitting up, and he's just like rocking himself like back and forth, and then but he's doing it like in time to the music, and then he just started laughing like about it. He made like his little giggle.
Yeah.
And something about that, I was just like, you know, every bit of nonsense in life that I deal with, everything that I deal with day to day in the week, all of the things that I deal with, like I deal with it just so, you have those little moments of joy. So you get to I just want you to laugh all the time. I want you to be able to just be at peace and, have like as little worries as possible. It's just
Yeah. Man, matter of fact, I'm about to send y'all this picture to the group chat, man. Like it was so funny because um last night they came over or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And they knocked on my bedroom door, and I kind of thought that was them. I wasn't sure because I didn't really hear anything. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting here watching, the game was on and SmackDown was on. So I'm watching the game and SmackDown on the two TV setup. Like I'm laser focused.
Yeah.
And they knocked on the door, and I opened the door, and little man was sitting there. He started talking and laughing to me and everything. And I'm like, oh snap, that's my little homie. So like I noticed him, my daughter, her friend, her boy, they all standing there. I'm like, hey, give me the baby. Like me and him sitting there chilling and laughing and stuff. And like that felt good, man, just because little man was like, hey, I remember Jermaine. Like he's cool. And I like his beard to play with his beard and stuff. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like that was cool. But it's like, sometimes, man, when you can experience that just that joy, that peace, just that calmness in your life, it really does something for you, and it really gives you something to look forward to. And I hope that everybody gets to experience that in their lives, because whenever you're in that dark place, always look back to those fond memories and those good moments and whatnot, and that's what you have to look forward to.
What about okay, I like that. What about you, Ahun?
What's the question? I'm not gonna hold you.
When was the last time you felt peace?
Oh, dude, it's when I have my kids, bro. Like when
See?
I have my kids, I'm chilling because they're with me, so I don't have any issues, right? And then like usually they gotta go potty because my daughter's 4, so she's like, Dad, I gotta go potty. All right, cool. I'm hungry. Cool. I want some snacks. Sweet. Like, what else do y'all want to do? We're going outside. Let's go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog, I'm chilling at that point. Like, when they're with me, I'm cool. I have this weird unease when they're not with me that there's issues.
Okay.
That's the gist of it. But other than that, if I don't got my kids, like I have to convince myself that like okay, they're fine with their mom,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can't do anything if they're not with me, right? So it's just like be calm, and it took me like a couple years before that to happen after my ex-wife and I divorced, right? Um,
Mhm.
so it took a while for that to happen, But like once I figured it out, and it was like, all right, cool. There's two versions of peace that happen. So it's like, cool. My kids are by me. They're chilling. Everybody's good. I don't have to worry about stuff. And then when I turn around and they're not with me, then that version of it is like, all right, I'm chilling. Like, I'm fine. That's how that works. So that's it.
I like that.
It's crazy how all three of us had something to do with our kids. And
Mhm.
that just goes to show you, like, as fathers, like what our kids really and truly mean to us. Because, like I said, for me to like be worried about my kids and what we're doing, what's going on, and everything, and to get a reassurance from someone that I truly know and love, that's like, no, bro, I got your back. Don't worry about it. And then to for my daughter to text me last night, hey, dad, can they come and stay for a little while? Their air is out, whatever, whatever. Like hell yeah, they can come and stay. Like, of course. Like, I don't want them to be stuck out. If I can give them a place to stay while their AC is getting fixed, like, of course. Like, you know, of course, mind the rules of the house or whatever, be respectful, but I knew I wasn't gonna have to worry about that with those kids and the baby and everything. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, bruh, it's a different feeling that you have when you with your kids, or when your kids bring you some sort of level of peace or something like that. Like, it's a whole different feeling. Whole different feeling.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So we've all talked about family and its importance. As a provider for your family's way of life, what is the mental toll of that like? What would you say if you had to put a price on your mental health? What would the cost of that be? And what do you do to maintain that?
Man,
That's
I
a,
can't
it's a
I can't
two-part
put a
question.
price on that. There is no price tag on that, man. Like, that is something that's like, oof, man. I don't know even how to quantify that, to be honest with you, because when you have that pressure on you to be the provider, it takes you into a different level of focus if you're truly committed to it. And some people, they say they do, and the performative words and sometimes even actions come out, but like, are you really committed to it? Are you truly that dedicated to making sure you're doing everything you can to provide for your family? And a lot of the times people really think that they're doing everything that they can, and they think that they're trying their best and they're putting out as much as they can put out. And it's like, nah, there's always a level up from where you're at that you can achieve if you keep putting your mind to it. And I've literally sometimes in the past and whatnot, even currently, sometimes I work myself to a state of exhaustion where I'm thinking I'm going to be okay. And I'm sitting there and I just nod off to sleep because I'm trying to read or watch something or write something or take notes on something. And I'm still trying to, like, work instead of resting when I should be resting. And I don't even know how I would quantify that, man, to be honest with you, because it's like there's just something about knowing that you're providing for your family
Mhm.
and everything is going to be okay and everybody's going to be all right, that just does something to a man that gives him, a different kind of peace, like we were just talking about.
It turns you into Michael Jordan in Game 6. That's what, because you have to be.
Bruh.
You have no choice. It's man, it's one of those things where, like, yes, you have people that like care about you, want to see you win, and are rely on you, but you have this
Mhm.
thing. You have to realize that as harsh as it sounds, nobody's coming to save you.
Right,
Nobody
right,
nobody is coming to save you, and
right.
you have to carry that mindset with you, whether it's true or not. You have to operate like, hey, this has to work because there is no other option. Like, I have to find a way to make it happen. Whether I've got to miss a couple of meals or not go on certain trips or take the bus to work so I can save on gas. Just you've got to find you as a man that's providing for a family. You will do whatever you've got to do on your end to make sure that the people around you are winning. And that's tough.
It's hard, man, because like sometimes I'll naturally take on the big brother, dad, uncle role in certain situations just because I want to see everybody win. I want to see them succeed. Like I want you to achieve your fullest potential and whatnot. And there's times where I felt like I can help all of these other people, but I can't help my own kids. Or I can help these people, but like I can't help some of my closest friends or relatives or whatnot. And it's like sometimes that can mess with your head because you're feeling like, I'm helping somebody through something, but why can't I help this person? Or why can't I help that person? Or whatever it is. And a lot of the times, man, it'll crush you. It'll really crush you if you let it. And you have to remember that, maybe that's not your place to help that person. And, I know a lot of the times we talk about, you and I'll have conversations about our faith or whatever. And it's a lot of times where maybe that's not what God has for you. Maybe that's for somebody else to get through to that person. Maybe that's not your job to get through to that person. Maybe that's for something or somebody else to get through to that person. And you have to learn to be okay with that you can't always help everybody.
I like that. You can't save every puppy in the pound, as they say.
Facts.
It's harder when you got a bit of a Superman complex. Man, shout out to therapy, because this is how you discover different things, different tendencies you have.
Yes.
Naturally, it's less of a desire to be the hero, because being the hero gets exhausting. It's less of a desire to be the hero. It's more of, hey, I am not afraid to be the hero if I have to be. Like I always say that, like, first off, shout out to Dre from 290.
What up, Dre?
But I always say that, like, I always understand where Peter Parker's coming from, because he is just trying to get through the day. Like he's just trying to be neighborhood Spider-Man, and everybody decides to have a cataclysmic issue right when he's like got to do a test or got to go on a date or do something. He doesn't get a life, but he's like, you know what? I will let my life be subpar if the world and the city and the people around me are taken care of. Miles Morales is the same thing. Like I've always understood with that hero archetype where you're not trying to be the hero, but you just get thrusted into the position because you're just like, you gotta. They're like, oh, there you go, be the hero.
It's like, bro, it's like, I put it to you like this here, like, there's been times where, like, you feel that hero complex, like you said, because you want to save everybody, or everybody you can try to save, and you try to do everything for everybody. And it was something I was reading not too long ago that said, like, you basically, to summarize it, it was like you can't save everything, everybody. Like sometimes you'll stretch yourself so thin to where you're not applying your best or everything you can apply to what you need to apply it to, because you're stretching yourself so thin. So sometimes we have to learn, like, as men, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't I thought I had my laptop plugged in. Why is it not?
We can't do it all. We're not Iron Man. Iron Man does not exist. You can't keep going. You can't keep going all the time. Like you eventually do run out of fuel and fumes, and then after that you're just like a a plane that's running out of gas, you're going to drop out of the sky eventually. You need to find a way to refuel. So like, what do you do to refuel the plane that is your mental health?
Oh man, like sometimes it's as simple as like a conversation with one of y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes talking with like talking with family and friends, about things. A therapist, sometimes talking to a therapist will help fuel that. But some of the things like outside of just the normal, well, quote unquote normal scope of things that you would do, like talking to a therapist, talking to friends, family, encouraging words and whatnot. But some of the things like that I've learned is like doing some unconventional stuff, like something called grounding. Grounding is
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool, where you walk outside and you literally touch grass barefoot, and and I know it may sound like some wacky spiritual, like ritualistic type of thing, but like literally just sometimes walking outside in the grass barefoot will like help you just like reconnect, or taking a walk, doing some exercising, doing some sort of activity or something that gives you that shot of dopamine, those endorphins that re-energize you. And it could be something as simple as like we said earlier, like a conversation or a therapy session, or it could be like something unconventional like grounding, or like sometimes, man, I'll even like I'll watch an old wrestling match or something like that. And it's something I've probably watched like 30 times, but it's something that brings me to a happy place,
Mm-hmm.
or watching a movie or a TV show or something like that, or listening to a podcast, a song. A lot of the times music really does help people with things and through things and whatnot. And I know there was several times I was in dark places, and that's part of the reason like how me and Black Wrestling got cool. Like I was in a really dark place, and I had been kind of introduced to their work and some other people's work and whatever and whatnot. And I started tuning in and tapping in more regularly, and it really like gave me something to look forward to outside of everything that I normally look forward to. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's just sometimes, man, some things will just bring you a certain peace and a certain joy in your life that it just helps.
I like that. Shout out to Dre. Dre said, "For me, I found peace in sitting on the back porch and watching the birds and enjoying the bird feeders and bird bath. Also, going to take the dogs for a walk with the kids. That is my peace."
Yeah,
Listen, it
man.
is so that is like what he just described. That is so simple. That is like
Yes.
so
Yes.
like it is the like look at that. It is like he's not spending bands
Hmm.
on something he don't need. He's not making a intercontinental cross country trip. He is just outside,
Yeah.
fresh air, listening to the birds, taking the
Yes.
dogs for a walk with the kids, with the fam. Like that. I mean, I don't see how you could listen to someone tell you that they do that and say that that's not peace. Like, you know,
Bro.
it's I think you know, going back to what Ahan brought up earlier when he was here with us is
Hmm.
of, we, whether people want to acknowledge it or not, we live in such a society where as a black man you have like 8 things counted against you from jump, like
Yes.
from the get-go, whether it's financial, family dynamic, where you live at, what the income of the household is like, just so many different things. And you go through life, and I say life because anyone that's listening to this, if you are not black and you're listening to this, I challenge you to ask one of your black friends when the first how old they were when they had their first racist experience, because I guarantee you most of them are going to tell you it was before the age of 13. Now,
Hmm.
you might not have processed it in that at that moment as, oh wow, that was really not okay, or that was really offensive. But as you get older and you think back on things, you realize that unfortunately you encounter some of these barriers a lot earlier than is necessary. And
Mhm.
if you don't, the people in your household encounter some of these barriers. So,
Yeah.
yeah, with like living in a society like that, and knowing that if you do not check X amount of boxes, you're going to be looked at in a negative fashion or form, and you have all of these pressure to meet this imaginary bar that you feel is always climbing
Mhm.
up higher and higher. It does take its toll. So I do wish anyone that is feeling like you are just constantly climbing up a hill and the rock keeps pushing you back down,
Mhm.
I do encourage you to reach out to anyone that's like reach out to your community. And if you don't have
Right.
people you can reach
Right.
out to, find better people. Like
Exactly. Exactly.
find better people. When I had my car accident, which was pretty traumatic and stuff, I did get therapy. Like, the
Mhm.
military had me go to therapy and stuff. My commander actually had to direct me to go to therapy. Well, because here's the interesting thing about it. It was in 2014, and recovering from it, like, I mean, the mere sight of an F-150 truck terrified me. Like, I mean, I'm stuck. Like, I could not move. Like, I was paralyzed,
Yeah.
and obviously wasn't able to do my job and stuff. But I wouldn't go to therapy because I was like, yo, if I start scheduling mental health appointments and I have to let my supervisor know that this is going, because I got in trouble because I went to a mental health appointment and I didn't let my supervisor know because
Oh.
it was on the calendar, so I was good on that account.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I didn't tell him because I was like, because one of my supervisors was white at the time. Like, he was white. Like, the one I had at the time was white. And so I was like, oh no, I don't want to be looked at as like the crazy black man in the office.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and then it's
yeah.
like, oh wow, how do I tell my mom that I'm getting therapy? How do I tell my grandma that I'm getting therapy, that I'm getting help, that I'm doing this? Like, I didn't want to tell anybody anything. And it got to the point where like I was not seeking help for myself, and it was affecting me so much that like my supervisor, he wasn't doing it to be malicious, but he literally had the commander write a like notice for me telling me like, hey, you have to go do therapy or you're catching an Article 15. That is like, there is no other thing about
Damn, they had to literally threaten you.
it. It was literally that. But it was good in the way that like it helped open the door for me to go seek help, because like I was only seeing my mental health provider like one time a week, and like it was not helping. So I did research and looked up support groups for veterans dealing with, for like military people that were dealing with PTSD. And I found a group that met on a day of the week that I didn't have lacrosse, and that like I got out of work early normally anyway. And so I got to meet them. I was the youngest one in the group. All these dudes been deployed, stationed overseas, all this stuff, done lost friends and different stuff. But I connected with everybody there, but there were three black men in the group. One of them had fought in Vietnam. One of them had been stationed in Iraq, and um, another one he had just been deployed for a while overseas. But hearing their experiences and hearing how they felt about being so receptive to like getting help and how it changed them, it gave me encouragement to keep going, to keep showing up.
Yeah, man. It's rough, bro, because like there's some times where you feel overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really know what to do or how to go about it. And sometimes you need that kick in your ass to make you like force you to do something about it, you know? And I knew I needed help when I wasn't like eating and I wasn't cooking and stuff like that. Like I was making sure my kids ate or whatever, but I wasn't eating myself. and like I had lost a bunch of weight or whatever. And like I remember sitting at a family event and I fixed my food and everything, and I was hungry. Like I actually wanted, I just couldn't eat it. And my mom looked at me and she was like, "You need to eat." She was like, "I could tell you ain't been eating. Like you need to eat. You need to take care of yourself."
She said, "Boy, if you don't go fix yourself,
And
honey."
like it was just that one little like caption or moment or whatever in time. And it wasn't just about the plate of food that was in front of me. It was about I read deeper into what she was saying basically. And she meant it on a deeper level because later on she was like, you need to take care of yourself because if you don't take care of yourself, how you gonna take care of the kids? And when she told me that,
That part.
I snapped right out of it. Like that almost instantly made me just snap out of it. Like and start like, hey, I gotta do better.
That
Gotta
part.
do better. And it's like it took her to remind me, like, if I don't take care of myself, how can I provide and take care of them? And it always a lot of the times those roads end up leading back to your kids because if you ever needed the ultimate why in your life, become a parent.
Mm-hmm.
Like and that to me, like, and I know a lot of the times, and I tell them I don't even care, but like I told my kids before, I'm like, a lot of the times you're not gonna want to hear what I gotta say. And something somebody else says is probably gonna sound a lot more appealing, a lot more uh uh um a lot nicer
Feasible.
to you or whatever. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot better for you. But I'm sorry, but I gotta keep it real with you. I gotta stay 100 with you. I got to make sure you know, like, this is how things are and this is how things work. And it may not be the easiest road for you to travel, but it's a better road for you to travel than the one that you're trying to go down. And it may not be the simplest road or whatever or the most attractive, but I trust me, it's the better road to go down. And it wasn't until like my mom like told me that and I read the deeper meaning behind what she was saying and everything. And it just like everything just fell in place after that. And after that, like that's when I took therapy more seriously. I took not just taking because like I used to take time for myself, but it was more like selfish. Like you take time for yourself to do things that you just want to do. They may not necessarily be the best things for you to do, but taking time for yourself to do things that's going to help you get better and feel better about yourself and put yourself in a better mental state. Like those are some of the things that I've been more conscious of ever since that day, like 5 years ago, and just making sure like I'm following along and like doing exactly what it is I feel like I need to do in order to like take better care of myself. And that's so crucially important because we talk about it as black men because we're all black men, but as men, period, like uh I've had other friends of mine, other races and economic backgrounds and whatnot, and they all have similar struggles. And man, it wasn't until I kid you not, one of the realest conversations I had about making sure you take care of your mental health as a man, and it was underrated. It was a millionaire I'm talking to, right? Older white guy. And he was like, he was like, I got all this cool shit and I got all this stuff and everything else. He was like, but he was like, this don't mean nothing. He was like, because I was never really happy until I really found what made me happy. And what really makes me happy is not, having all this cool shit and having all this. He was like, just because I got a little money or I can do things for my kids or my family or whatever, he was like, that doesn't mean anything. He was like, I didn't realize how truly rich and wealthy I was until like I felt good about myself and what I was doing. And, I felt good about my standing in life. He was like having all this stuff and being able to pay for all this stuff. He was like, that don't mean nothing. He was like, that don't bring you joy. He was like, if anything, that brings me more stress because I have to make sure that I keep making money to maintain all of this. He was like, that's not what brings me joy and what brings me peace. And when he said that, bro, I was like, damn, this a dude that's got millions of dollars or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Can go anywhere, buy anything he really wants. And he sit up here telling me like, man, all this don't mean shit. He was like, I don't even want all this. He was like, I'd be glad when this last kid move out so I can downsize and move into an apartment. Bro, this man lives in like a 6,000 square foot house and he couldn't wait to move into a 1,500 square foot apartment.
Dude, listen, it's like, you know, that just really puts so much in perspective for you. Hey, Ahun, I know you're back. The question is, what is the mental toll that being the provider for your family's way of life takes on you? And what value would you put on your mental health?
Buddy, that is a loaded question. So mental toll, like there's not really a mental toll. Like I have a beta blocker, if you will. Like when it comes to anything, because I don't give a shit about what anybody else is thinking, right? Like for me, I focused on like, am I happy? Right? So I've just gotten to the point that like I'm 41 and like all of this stuff, like how we started all of this, right? Because we were in the midst of the conversation. Like I started CDB Multimedia, co-founded with Sloan and all of y'all, where it was like I wanted to find something that like I didn't have to feel like it was work. Number one. So that's the most important, right? And that's the biggest thing for me as like a grown adult. I don't give a fuck about it. Like, bro, I can make money however I need to, but what I want to do is that like I want to make it in a way that it doesn't feel like I'm working. So like where most people are trying to like climb up a corporate ladder. I don't give a fuck about a corporate ladder, bro. I used to work for a Fortune 5. I worked at Apple. Like I've been underneath, I worked for Verizon. I've been underneath all these big corporate umbrellas, but at the end of the day, they can still get rid of you whenever they feel like it, right? Versus like when it comes to like CDB multimedia, like we can bring in however much money we want on whatever it is. So when it comes to Sucio Sportz, when it comes to Aim High, the Drelax podcast, any of those, like that is more what I'm concerned with. Where it's like, hey, what are you bringing in the month? What do you need? What is it that you need so that you are okay to where you don't feel like you have to go work this job that takes time away from you spending time with your son or your friends, loved ones, whatever, or takes time away from you being able to do Aim High or the Drelax podcast. Like that's the most important to me. So I spend every single day thinking about that. Like I think about Sucio Sportz, I think about the Sucio Boys podcast, I think about CDB, multimedia. I think about all of this shit every single day. So for me, it's constant. It is a steady constant where it's like a low hum in my head. I've got to make this work out because I have to feed families. And it's not just my family. Like, I've got to feed multiple families, feed other people. I've got to feed, like, their well being, what they do, how they feel, all those things. And, um, it's more important for me to feel that way or have that happen or how I live in that respect, versus it just being like, no, I got to make sure that like people are cool.
Okay, I like that. I guess like let me ask y'all this: what when it comes to I guess, life when because everybody's life has a end date. When everything is all said and done, and you are no longer among the living, what do you want your legacy to be in the lives of the people closest to you?
Man, that's a good one. That's
Yeah.
a good one. Like honestly, um, I know like I could be abrasive and rough around the edges sometimes, or
Mhm.
sometimes I could be, softer than melted ice cream. But truly, like if people can just remember me for just wanting to help and want what's best for everybody, and just like it may not come out the way you want it to come out, but the intent behind the action or the words is always real and it's always genuine and it comes from a genuine place. Like that's really all I care about. Like, so what if I may not say it the way you want to hear it or do it the way you want it done or whatever it is? It's the intent behind the action that means more than the action itself. And as long as people know the intent behind my actions are pure and I want nothing but the best for them, that's all I really care about.
Okay. Hey, hun, what do you want your legacy to be when everything's all said and
Oh,
done?
oh man, yo, listen, I'm with Jermaine on this one, right? Like, and my apologies because I'm in
Yep.
store. I'm literally living out my dream right now, where
You're fine.
like, I'm, so like, and for those of us that are listening, like, I work 9 to 5 at a 4 to 5, right? So, like, I work Monday through Friday, on the phones all the time, but like on the weekends, I'm helping a friend of mine who started a brand and turned it into a fashion house, and he has a storefront. So now I'm the store manager here, and like I get to live out my dreams. Like for me, it's like everything in life is a cheat code. You just have to pay attention to what codes you have,
Mhm.
and you type them in right. You know what I'm saying? So if you type the right codes in, or if you type them in wrong, then that could potentially have a penalty on you. And I think a lot of folks um, feel like like the key to life is to experience it. Like we are all avatars of God experiencing life because God can't do that from the pedestal up high. So I put my entity in you to build you in my likeness so that you can give me feedback from your personal perspective. So for me, like my legacy is strictly to enhance and make the world better in a way, and the universe a better place than I found it. We're technically all just cells in a body if you really understand like synchronicity and all that other shit. Like I'm not trying to get super profound and whatnot, but like if you understand that it's all interconnected, you're a cell in a nucleus, and you think that I'm supposed to and you think you're so important. Yes, you are, but in the microcosm of like this bigger entity, you're not paying attention. I really just want to be able to make the body greater than what it's supposed to be. The whole sum, the all these other things. So like when I connect with people like y'all, right? Jermaine, Dre, Sloan, fucking Keys, and it's like we're all everybody involved, aside from the ladies that we do have on the network, is is a black dad. So it's just as important for me to help enhance the brand so that it benefits y'all's kids as much as it does mine. Like, I'm not looking at this from like a selfish perspective. Everybody eats. Like, it's always an everybody eats mentality. So if y'all are not playing team ball, right? We've all like Jermaine is our sports guru. He can tell us about everything across the board when it comes to sports. But like the selfish players, they might get 40 points, but if the team don't win a championship, then what the fuck are we talking about? Do you even remember them in time? No, you don't. You don't remember second place. So that's what I'm here for. It's to win a championship as many times as I can before I go away. And then when I stop doing it as a player, yeah, I'm gonna do it as a coach. I'm gonna do it as a GM. I'm gonna do it as an owner. Like all of those things. That's what I'm here for. To enhance and make legacies better. Like we are literally just upgrades of software. You know what I mean? Like I'm dead dog. Y'all know what I'm saying. I just think I will fucking kickflip a forehead right now.
I'm here for it. Oh man, I guess like so. Let me ask y'all this. What in your life was the hardest thing that you had to get through mentally or emotionally, and how did you get through it? Whether you got through it the quote unquote right way or not, just got to know that you got through it.
Oh, can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna go, but then after I go, I have to go. I apologize. I would love to hear and help add more to it, but I've gotta co-assist my homeboy Josh. So the hardest thing was going through my divorce. I think like there's been progressions. It was like an enhancement of like the calamities of whatever Greek, mythology story. It was like it was going through a divorce. COVID hit. I was away from my kids, which I had been with my kids every day. I was putting them to bed every day. I ended up losing my job with Apple. And then I tore my Achilles soon. Actually, I tore my Achilles before I lost my job with Apple. So it was like all of these things that were all happening all at once. And I was trying to start like CDB behind it all. Dude, I thought my world was going to end for real. And I had to deal with a lot of my own mental health. And it was just like, I don't see how I'm getting out of quicksand. And I've had conversations with myself where it's like, bro, do I even want to fucking be here? And a lot of people will be like, holy shit, bro. Like, really? And it's like, yeah, no, you have like honest conversations with yourself. Like, can I check out? Can I do a self-checkout? Would it be better served for everybody if I just did that? It wouldn't. But like, I had those thoughts. So what helped me stay here, were y'all, right? Our collective, our conglomerate, like all of us checking in on each other. And then that's where it's like, we don't have conversations on a daily basis if we're not talking in spaces on Twitter or backyard on Discord or, what have you. Like, bro, it was like, dude, those days were tough where it's like, I do need that fulfillment from individuals that understand like, hey, this helps me get through all of this. So it's like, I don't want y'all to feel like y'all are crutched, but like, that's how I work through it. So even now it's like, hey, now we're building each other up. Like, hey, dog, did you send that email? Did you send that email? Because if you send that email, then somebody's supposed to get back with you in less than a week because they sent me an email 2 weeks ago. You see what I'm saying? And it's literally that. And like, I get geeked out and excited. So, and like my son, like he's 7, but he like sends me videos that he makes and he does. And I hype him up so hard. And he will, Dad, how many I need to get for a Roblox gift card? Bro, don't worry about it. I'm going to give you a Roblox gift card. I need you to stop focusing on how many views you get and focus on the content that you want to make. Like, I don't
Mhm.
care. What makes you happy? What do you want to talk about? Do you want to film it or do you want to keep that to yourself? Like, so I'm starting to have these conversations with my kids and they're young, but again, it's a different world. Like, some people get so centrally focused on like how many views they might get or how many likes they get or some shit like that. And it's like, bro, I don't care. What the fuck do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? So do that, buddy. And then I will support you always. That's like what we're supposed to do as a dad.
I like that. He just wants to see. He just wants to see his kids win, and
That's
people
it. I
love
want
it.
to see his win too.
Hey, I love it though. Hey, hon. Thank you for that so much. Real talk, man. I appreciate
Listen, that's a love y'all, appreciate y'all. Y'all already know I'ma holler at y'all. But listen, I gotta go sell these sneakers, you know what I'm
it.
saying?
You're good. You're good, man. Thanks for popping up. Let's see. Hey,
All right.
Jermaine,
I'll
what
holler
about
at
you?
y'all later.
All right,
Happy
man.
Father's Day. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Happy Father's
sir.
Day.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Love it. like he's West Side Gun. Boom, 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 boom.
You know what I'm saying? Boom, 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 boom.
Damn, I ain't got the soundboard hooked up to do the gunshot thing right now, man.
Yo, I just need to know when I meet Westside Gun, I just want to have a conversation with him about MF Doom because I feel like I
Mm.
may be the bigger MF Doom fan, but possibly not. I don't know.
Ah, I'm a timestamp this one. I'm a timestamp this one. I'm gonna
Right, we gonna see. But all right, fellas, I heard y'all.
All
Take it
right,
easy,
man.
everybody.
Take it easy, bro.
One love.
Jermaine, what about for you? What was the hardest thing you ever gone through in your life, and like how did you get through it?
Shit. Really, I got a list of them if you really want to be honest. Like,
As many as you want to share.
um, we could start with my little brother being killed when I was in high school. Like that shit happened back in '97, and it still fucks with me to this day. Like I still like have trouble with certain things, and I even parent differently my kids just because of me going through that experience and whatnot. And I'll never forget. This was a while before I got divorced, but my sister-in-law, like we still call each other brother and sister because we're still close even after the divorce. I think we even got closer. But I remember telling her like about some of the shit that I had to go through and everything else, and she started crying listening to me talk about shit that I had been through in my life up until that point. And she was like, I don't even know how you're still standing today, like how you're still like going through everything that you've gone through and still have a positive mindset and still being able to take care of everybody and look out for everybody and still like just be there for everybody. Um, I remember when my grandmother died. Not as much when my grandfather died last year, but more or less when my grandmother died. Because it kind of hit everybody hard. And I was the one going around, after the funeral, during the funeral and whatnot, making sure everybody was okay, like they could, be okay and whatnot. Like my mom, my uncle, my grandfather, my kids, my wife at the time, like my family members and whatnot. Um, I remember getting divorced. Like that really hit me hard. And sometimes I still deal with effects of that, like especially like with the relationship I have with my kids. And we're still trying to navigate that all these years after a divorce and stuff and still trying to figure things out with each other and whatnot. Just certain things, man, like you go through in life, um, it brings you to different realizations. And you have to really truly come to grips with the fact that you're not as strong as you think you are because there are things that can break you down and that you don't have everything under control either, that you do need help. it's okay to reach out and ask for help. And it's okay to say you need help with something or whatever it is. And like I said before, I'm used to being the one that everybody calls on for help or for advice or whatever. And it's not easy for me to be in that position to be the one to say, hey, I need help or I need advice on this. Like, so just being able to go through different periods and points in my life. Um, I remember even losing my scholarship because I remember when I lost my scholarship, when I was going to Tulane, like I was thinking like I'm on top of the world. I got this. And I literally lost my scholarship by like a thousandths or 100 thousandths of a point decimal place.
Mhm.
Like I needed to maintain a 2.5, and I believe I had like a 2.4925 or something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah. And the state of Louisiana was like, nope, we ain't rounding shit up. That's not a 2.5. Scholarship gone. And I'm just like, damn, just like that, and it's like I was about to get into some trouble. I lost my scholarship and just stuff was just happening. I was just like, you know what, it's probably time for me to move. And that's when I moved to Texas. And like it's just dealing with stuff like that, man. And I remember even reconnecting with an old friend from back in those days. And she was like, I can't believe you remember all of that. And I was like, how could I forget it? I said, that was a crazy time in my life. How can I forget any of this stuff?
Right.
Like, like you go through certain things and experience certain things and it's burned in your memory. And the things that have always sustained me and helped me get through all those rough times was, like I said earlier, my faith, just trying to persevere and always looking for something outside of myself that I need to do or be or maintain in order for everybody else to be good. And it's like, when I had kids, that's why I tell my kids, I say it all the time, my kids literally saved my life. Because if I didn't have kids to look forward to, I don't know what shape I would be in or where I would be or what I'd be doing. I'd probably be doing some crazy shit or I wouldn't be here right now. In one way, shape, or form or another. But always looking to like those family and those friends that really want you here, that want you to stick around, that whether they need you or not, they want you here and they want you around. Just knowing and hearing stuff like that, man, it helps you push through some of those tough days and tough times and whatnot. And it's helped me navigate a lot of rough shit in my life and keep me focused on, there's a bigger picture out there. And this is just a snapshot in a whole photo album.
Mhm.
Don't look at that snapshot as the be all end all. You have a whole photo album to complete with your life. You know what I'm saying? So don't just look at that one picture and be like, oh, this is it. You still got to keep going because there's more pictures that you need to add to that photo album. And just keeping that kind of attitude has kind of, and looking for those different things and those different pictures that I want to add to my photo album of my life has kind of kept me progressing forward despite the setbacks.
I've always heard the phrase, it's funny that a single chapter can make a story change. And
Oh man.
how you interpret that all depends on your perspective. You can look at that negatively or you can look at that positively. And you can think about, okay, so if you think about it like this, from a narrative perspective, you could say that life is like the one of those cinematic superhero movies in the universe. If you think that Infinity War and the devastating result that happened at the end of that movie is like your life and your hard moments, and that there is nothing that's going to get you out of that hard moment, you're never going to get to Endgame when everything's going well and everybody done stepped through. Like I will never forget being in the theater experiencing everybody walking through the portals at Endgame. I'm in the theater. Yes, yes. but, but also, life, while it has those triumphant moments, sometimes life is like Black Panther 2, which I'm not afraid to admit. Black Panther 2 made me cry because
Bruh.
it was like therapy. It was like watching
Bruh.
therapy on screen because you see the grips of these people that lost not just an on-screen character in T'Challa, but in Chadwick Boseman. And you see in every moment when the characters are speaking about T'Challa, who has passed in the movie universe, you know that deep down they're talking about Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somebody, I saw, for anyone that hasn't seen Sinners, here's your little brief spoiler warning. I'm not talking about the whole movie, but there's a scene in the movie where Michael B. Jordan's character says, "Last time I seen the sun was the last time I saw my brother," and somebody put an edit of that audio on the ending of the first Black Panther when Killmonger and T'Challa are looking at the sunset, and I was not okay. I was like, "Hey, dog, y'all play with my emotions, and I don't like that." But no, but it was just interesting how certain things invoke certain emotions out of you, and you're like, "Wow, I didn't know that I needed this and stuff." And so like for me, one of the hardest moments that I had to get through was in 2023 when my grandfather died. That created such a shift for me mentally. And I will say I did not handle a lot of I never dealt with it properly because I ended up making a lot of choices that negatively affected my life and altered a lot of it that I deal with even now today. But I think a lot of the fall off for me was that I became so focused on uplifting everyone around me. Like I made sure I helped my grandma with every all the funeral stuff. Like I told people that that we had made aware. Obviously, I told people, I was like, "Hey, if you have any questions regarding the funeral, you either talk to me or you talk to one of my grandma's close friends. Leave her alone. Let her process as much as she can." I was I'll deal with it because for me, I didn't give myself a emotional space to be okay with it because I remember every person that now again, I'm not blasting anybody for saying this. I know they were saying it out of love and stuff. It's more on me for how I received it. Was whenever I told people what was going on, everybody was you gotta be strong for your grandma, you gotta be strong for your mom. And it threw me back to how as a kid I thought about how if you as a young boy showed any sort of emotion, people frame that as you were exhibiting female traits. And so what do boys want to do? The last thing that even as a young boy that you don't want to be looked at is you don't want to be looked at as being anything less than a man. So you close off any sense of those emotions. And I will say a trauma response kind of just took over, and I broke down and cried on the day that I got the news. That was about it. But I didn't let myself I didn't even when I was by myself, I didn't break down and cry until Hadley had came home and she knew I wasn't doing okay. And she didn't say nothing. All she did was come over and hug me, and I told her, "Look, leave me alone." I was trying to get her to not.
Yeah.
She hugged me, and I collapsed. I fell like the Tower of Babel. I was inconsolable. I was gone. I was done. And I just, when it came to handling the funeral process and stuff, I locked in, and I just focused more on helping everyone else instead of taking time for myself. And like again, hindsight 2020, I can admit that I didn't handle things right because like I stopped going to therapy. I stopped taking my like medication. People were asking how I was, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm fine." No. Like I just
it's like you put up that front in order to just push through. But what we don't oftentimes recognize is that putting up that fake front only suppresses things more and more and more. And the more you suppress things, the harder it is for things to come out. And the harder it is for you to truly deal with those feelings. And I remember you and I had conversations about this, dealing with that because your grandfather passed, and then not too long after that, mine's passed. And it was like we were both dealing with heavy shit that we didn't really know how to process. And then when we talked to each other and you said you had your breakdown moment and I was talking about how I had my breakdown moment, it was just like damn. Like one of the reasons people don't even know this, man, and this is something that used to always bother me, right? Like people would see me with my beard and they would think, oh, Rick Ross, or because I'm in Houston, oh, James Harden. I'm like, you couldn't be further from the fucking truth. Like I've been trying to grow a beard like this since I could grow facial hair, because my grandfather, the one who just recently passed away, he always had a badass beard or a goatee or whatever. And for the most part, he always had a badass beard. And like I was like, damn, like my grandpa's cool. Like I want a beard like that. You know what I'm saying? And like my other grandfather, they both always worked and hustled and everything. And to see my other grandfather on my dad's side, now he's like, Alzheimer's is setting in. He's almost bedridden or in his chair or whatever most of the time. But he still like has that wit or that humor or that sass about him, like where he'll crack a joke or, call you out your name or like say something funny or whatever. Like last year for his birthday, I'll never forget, like he didn't really say much or nothing, but he would always say, like, crack a joke about how old he was or whatever. And it's just like it's not until you're able to process those feelings and truly get it out that you really understand. And a lot of the times us as men, especially as black men, we don't get those safe spaces where we can let it out and feel how we feel and process our feelings and talk about it and get it out and whatnot. And that's why when you approached and you was like, hey, I want to do a pod for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, I think we should go live, and just open up and talk about it. And I was like, bro, I'm there for it. No matter what I got to do or where I got to go or whatever, I'm going to be there, because it's so often that we don't address stuff like this and we don't talk about it. And we think it's taboo and it makes us weak or whatever. And it's like, no, the weakness comes from you feeling like you don't have to get it out. You don't have to talk about it, or you don't want to deal with it, or you don't want to talk about it. That's weakness. Because all you're going to do is continue to weaken yourself and weaken your mental state to the point where you're no longer going to be functional or positive or a good influence on anybody around you or for yourself. Strength comes from saying, I need help. I need to seek help. I need to talk about this. I need to get this out. I need to find a better way to deal with things that I'm dealing with. That's true strength. Because as a man, you may be taught and society may teach you, suck it up, be okay, don't cry about it, or give you something to cry. Like society may project that upon you, but that does not have to be your life, and that does not have to be your truth, and you don't have to walk like that.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that, let me know that like, I had real people in my corner was, when I told everybody about that, because like, I mean, I even told people in like our groups like Discord and stuff, and I just like said like, hey, if I'm not like chatting for a minute and stuff, like this is what's going on, like da, da, da. But you and like Ahun and Sloan and Keys and stuff, and even House, y'all like still texted me and like we're just like, hey, like just checking on you, making sure you're good and stuff. Like I don't think I popped in like a spaces or anything for like at least like a week or two, because I was just dealing with everything, and everything just felt like it was a lot. And but taking care of everyone like around me. Like, while, you know, I definitely should have made more time for myself, I still like keeping everybody else up. That kind of like helped me work through it. But one of the things that actually got me through it, which is how I got through it, was going to the adaptive strongman competition in Florida like a week.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Because seeing people who, from an outside looking in perspective, someone that was born with half an arm or someone that lost an arm, lost a leg, is in a wheelchair, seeing them compete and push through, like seeing a dude that has a prosthetic leg carry a 450-pound door frame and walk 8 steps. 8 don't sound like a lot, but when you think about it, and you think about like, could the average able-bodied person do that? You're just like,
hell no.
Different type of strength. And it was just something about seeing all those people that, you know, were more than handy capable, that were adaptive and had adapted to life and found their way to do stuff, seeing them resolve to do it. And like, I think I remember I had asked a lot of them, I was like, hey, listen, like, honestly, how did you get through it? Like, what happened? And one person, Mike Deal said, quite simply, he said, I got shit to do. He said that's what he told himself.
Yeah.
Anyone that has seen episode 3, you know exactly how he said that. And that got me through it, because like that whole September was horrific, because while I was in Florida, that was when Hadley's grandmother passed. And then like 3 days after I get back, we're putting Finn down. And it was just, and then, you know, a week after that was when we had my grandfather's funeral. And so it was just that whole time period. Like, if it wasn't for people like y'all, for Hadley, for Maddie, and for, you know, gyms being open, I wouldn't have been able to get through it. Because I just, and like, it makes me also then like kind of empathize with those people that get to a spot where they are so low and they feel like they're out of hope. Like, I understand that. Like, I understand that feeling, because like I've been there. And if it wasn't for the people around me, if I had nobody, I wouldn't have made it. Quite simply wouldn't have made it. Like, that's a lot for anyone to deal with. If I had no good people around me, wouldn't have made it. But I'm always grateful for the people that I do have. And the other thing that really helped me be more at peace was holding Cortland when he was in the hospital. Because you know, anyone that knows, he's got my grandfather's name. It's his middle name. And so it's just interesting, because, you know, I always say that God's got a great sense of humor, because like, even though he's a baby, he and my grandfather got like the same little smile. And there's like a certain like way that like when he does his little giggle or he does his little smile, where I'm just like, it's just a little tiny piece of my grandpa probably exists in there, just a little tiny piece. It's just interesting. It's really interesting.
Nah, I feel you on that, man, because there's a lot of times where, like, my kids were born 6 and 9 years after my brother passed. They've never met him and only seen a few pictures of him or whatever. But like, some of the stuff that they do or say, or little goofy stuff like that, like, it reminds me of my brother. And it's freaky because it's just genetics, you know, but it's also like God's way of like saying, you know, like his sense of humor, like, I'm going to remind you of your brother through your kids, or like you know, get reminded of your grandfather through your son, you know. And I remember like that time, because like you were going through a bunch, and then like my grandfather passed, and I go home for my grandfather's funeral. And the first day that I get home, I get a call that one of my close media mentors had passed. And then like, I come back to Texas and everything, and, you know, we go to funeral and everything else like that. And then like, not long after that funeral, I get another call that another close friend of mine, another mentor in the media business that I've had here, passed away unexpectedly, you know. So it's like, you get all these unexpected deaths and different things like that piled one on top of the other, and it seems like you can't go anywhere. And it's like you said, leaning on y'all and just like always keeping your why in mind and keeping that at the forefront of your thoughts. And if you can keep that at the forefront of your thoughts, your purpose, your why in life, like that'll always help you push through it. And like Aham was saying, he was thinking about self checkout, and it was like he had to remember, what's my why, what's my purpose here. Like I gotta be here for my kids, and I want to build something, a legacy, to leave behind for not for them, but for everybody else. And so I got work to do. And like hearing him say that, and talking to you and the things that I've gone through and just different men that I've talked to and things that we've experienced and whatnot, especially us as black men, because men have it hard enough. It don't matter what color, creed, height, weight, disability you got, socioeconomic, education, background status. Men have it hard enough, period. Mm-hmm. But us as black men, it's even harder because we're supposed to be stronger, or we're projected to be, as such. And when you don't necessarily fit the bill or feel like you're living up to those expectations or those societal norms or expectations that society and things can, place on you, then oftentimes you may feel less than or not equipped enough, or you don't measure up or anything mm-hmm. like that. And then to go through things on top of all of that, like it just adds to it. And so we got to make sure that we're there for each other and we help and encourage each other. And that's why like brotherhood, friendship, and bonds like this are immeasurable. You can't put a value on something like what we have going on, because just for us to be sitting here talking about this right now is like, 5, 10, 15, especially 30, 40 years ago would have been completely unheard of.
Somebody will look at you crazy, but like, you want to talk about what?
Yeah, you openly talking about your feelings and your mental health and everything. What the heck? Like, what is like? No,
brother, don't you ever ask me about this again?
Yeah, like you weirdo. Like, what's wrong with you? Like nothing. Like I'm trying to help. I'm trying to keep it real. Like everybody talks about keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real. Like part of keeping it real is being honest. And part of being honest is openly admitting when you do have a problem, when you do have issues. You know what I'm saying? When you do have things that bother you, that don't sit right with you, or things that can like bring you down or whatever. Like that's a part of it. Like you're supposed to talk about it.
I like that. So Jermaine, definitely big time shout out. Thank you for being a part of this episode. Do you have anything that you would like to impart with anyone that's listening?
Man, I'll put it to you like this. Things aren't always as bad as they seem, and they can always get better. And just when you think things are bad enough, they could always be worse. And there's always somebody out there that has it worse than you do. So just be thankful and grateful for what you do have and the position that you are in, because you could have it much worse than someone else out there. And not to say that you need to look to someone else's struggle or strife to prop yourself up, but just know that things aren't as bad as they seem, and they're going to get better as long as you keep working towards that goal of progressing and moving forward and getting out of that funk that you're in.
I like that. Where can the people find you at?
Right there. That's why I put it there, so that way I ain't got to remember.
I like that.
_Jermaine on Twitter. I still call it his mama name on Twitter. I'm going to call him Twitter. You can find me on Instagram as well. Don't look for me on Facebook because I probably ain't going to accept your friend request. Always at Sucio Sportz with the Z. And I believe it's at Sucio _sports on Instagram. We got to get more active on IG over there, but we do be active on Twitter. But yeah, find me there. And like I said, that BRP 50 is about to drop Juneteenth next week. So look out for that. I got some stuff coming for that. I can't really say because I don't really know. But also, Sucio Sportz is on Wednesday nights, like I said, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. Gresh Unleashed, the podcast. You can follow us. I believe it's at Gresh Unleashed. I can't remember. This is why I should have put that at next to Sucio Sportz so I can remember that one. But yeah, we do every Tuesday night, 6:15, 6:30 Central, or 7:15, 7:30 Eastern.
Hey, I love that. Hey, make sure y'all check out the other podcasts on the network. So that is Sucio Sportz, Sucio Boys, A Different Angle, Four Corners of Commentary, Shogun Soccer Sit Down, the Drelax Podcast, and of course, the Aim High Podcast. Also, just like this song that's playing says, you are outstanding. If you are alive, you are outstanding. Things may be rough, things may be tough, and you may feel like you have had enough, but you are still outstanding in all things. Get up every day, try your best, keep going till the wheels fall off. Stay outstanding. I'm Dre, this is Jermaine. We're getting up out of here. Thank y'all.
Peace.